Hello and welcome to Crack Fu. I'm here joined by Future Al.
Hello.
And we've also got
Hercules.
So you might hear some little dog snuffles.
Grumbles and snuffles.
Sometimes I feel like I really don't belong here.
So this week we're going to talk about Chunfest. I already did a little video, but I wanted to wait until we got Future Al here because we both attended Chunfest and you had your first experience of real martial arts training.
I did, yeah. In the past, I think I'd spoken to you a little bit like how I'd gone to some lessons, Lao Gar, I'd done some Muay Thai, but not anything to a level at all, just attended a couple of classes. So it was like super exciting to go to Chunfest actually. And when I got there, I was really pleasantly surprised because although I suppose it's about Wing Chun, it was so many people coming from so many different disciplines, and so lots of interesting kind of things started happening.
Yeah, I mean, for me, because I arrived on the Friday, and for me the thing that really sticks out is that this isn't an event organised to make money. This is like a passion project. It's put on because people love training in Wing Chun, and there's no real profit to be made. Any extra that they make, they give to charity, and I can't recommend going enough if you're into that kind of thing, or even if you're not, and just give it a go. You can turn up, do it by the day like Future Al did, or you can camp for the weekend like I did. But yeah, so we both had a really good time, but you had your first experience of chi sao, or sticky hands. So I thought what we'd do is we'll go through that video and you can stop it at different points and talk about your feelings towards it. So it was Liam was kind enough to...
Yes.
I'll tag him in the comments so that you can go and look up his channel. He's got a very realistic view when it comes to Wing Chun. He's not one of these kind of die-hard, you know, you have to stand there square on and only ever fight from this distance, and ground fighting doesn't exist, and he's very, very practical with his training. You can tell what he does works. You might be able to hear some kind of Eastern European poker in the background.
The neighbours are having a barbecue, I think. Chunfest deserves so much more attention than it got. So many more people need to go. It was such a wonderful experience with such lovely people who were all very generous with their time and willing to answer questions. There were loads of, like I said, loads of different styles coming, loads of different martial arts being mixed in, which was lovely. And there were some people who took to the side and started just all doing jiu-jitsu, and there was, I've forgotten the name of the one with the stick swords. Yeah. People really, really loving talking to me about it and how excited they were and why they got into it. So that's the first thing I wanted to say. Second thing was, it was scorching hot this day. It was sweltering, and apparently it had been the day before as well. Yep. So the training or the activity had been slightly minimal until the evening because it was just so hot. And I waded in with like both feet going, hey, you're all being lazy, get up and do some stuff, these mats are empty, why aren't you? I thought you guys were all dedicated. And it was so sweet because like as soon as I said it, people got up and sort of tried to do things in the heat to sort of show me what, you know, they were doing. And that's when I started asking questions about if you wanted to start, where would the starting point, because I was just watching all these beautiful kind of arm movements going on, and everyone was just sort of gliding around doing what looked like just really beautiful arm movements. And I said, well, how do you start that? What, you know, is there something where you do a form and then you go from there? And this is when Liam was kind enough to talk to me.
Yeah, there's a few sound issues at the beginning. I hadn't realised because it's like wide up to the external mic. When you press record, it takes a few seconds for the sound to click in, but yeah, bear with it. Right, so here we go. Talk us through it.
So I think at this point I was just asking how you started to initiate this kind of
the intent of the force into my
arm
centre.
movements.
So you don't want to be coming,
And then they were explaining the wrist to wrist kind of contact. One was more relaxed, the other one was kind of more diagonal, vertical. And then the idea became that you were to move the hands out of the way so that you could strike, and it was all about being central, creating the central space so that you could strike.
Yeah. Relax your shoulders. Okay.
Shoulders again. I'm terrible. I do tend to hunch.
Body, don't come fall on the floor. But just your shoulders.
So when they said to relax my shoulders, I ended up just kind of altogether slouching, and they were like, no, that's not good either.
And then we're just going to move wherever. Doesn't matter where we move. We can do the classic one we was just doing. Just try and keep connected at the arms. And whenever you feel like I go too wide, just hit me.
Remember, you're constantly, all of your energy should be constantly going through his centre. So if at any point...
This gentleman was really
he lets
helpful
go,
as well.
What are you doing? That's it, exactly. And if he's too far away, step in.
Okay.
Yeah? No, go on, hit him. Step in. Go on, smack him. Really.
I feel like that's...
Got a little bit overexcited and started suggesting I start throwing people
Move
around.
around anywhere. As soon as you feel an opening, there we go. And I'll stop that. So now I've got an opening there. So you're always looking at lines.
Okay.
I would have gone with the other hand.
Two hands, remember.
Okay, yeah.
So wherever you feel like you've got a line through.
Explaining that I think I'm right-handed, so I kept kind of looking for spaces where I could hit only with my right hand, and he was explaining actually you need to use the left as well. So although that's definitely weaker, I started... It just seems like a lot, but it's not. It's just obviously beginner, but it was quite interesting because then I actually started seeing the lines as they were saying, and you could start striking with both hands.
Or if I release the contact, you can just hit me. If you feel like you can spread out my arm a little bit, so if you, just a little bit, just enough to get through. So you're creating these lines now. Yeah.
Okay.
And relax your shoulders. And just go wherever you feel a gap. Just go. Yeah.
It's weird because I can't relax my shoulders.
And when you hit, try not to overlean. And
Okay.
Step. If you need to step, take a little step so you can hit. So you've still got a bit of a bend in
So
the
how
arm.
is my stance meant to be? 1 foot forward or?
God, I'm the wrong person to ask about that as well, aren't I?
Yeah, because that's again, because I said like Liam is a more practically minded guy. He's also trained in a lot of other martial arts, Yang style, Tai Chi being one of them. He says like when he uses his Wing Chun, he gets criticised by a lot of other Wing Chun guys who say he's not doing real Wing Chun, even though he makes his Wing Chun work, whereas other people can't do what he does. It seems it's embedded. It's not just Wing Chun; it's all traditional martial arts where a lot of people they cling to this. You know, well, you're only beating me because you attacked me wrong.
You attacked me wrong.
And it's much easier to say you're getting the better of me because you're not doing it right than acknowledge that you need to work on your own kind of, you know, martial art to make it practical. And it's that thing, you know, people, Hong Kong movies are amazing. I grew up watching Hong Kong movies, Hong Kong Kung Fu movies, Shaw Brothers especially, you know, and I think the problem is there's so many people that do Wing Chun, especially because you've had, you know, the success of Ip Man as well. It's people see it done a certain way, and that's how you train. You know, you train to, this is how we do it, and the stance is very square and the punch is very, but when things go live, when you've got a fully resisting opponent in front of you, it's never going to look like how you train, and it's never going to look like the movies. And Liam is one of the guys who really understands that and knows how to make Wing Chun work.
And I think we talked about that. We talked about, like, do you know, I really, really liked as well that there was very little ego on display. There were so few people who were kind of, you know, stagging each other. It really was, you know, someone would do something and someone would go, that's amazing, show me how, or like, oh, that was really good, or oh, you got me. And when we were talking about stance, how many people came over and, well, I do it this way, but I do it that way, you know, later on as well. So, yeah.
Okay, just make sure, I don't care how sunk you are, how upright you are, but just make sure your knees aren't locked out.
Okay.
You haven't got Battlefield, have you? That lovely tan line.
Well, curious because like,
Just off floor.
So another rule of thumb that I go with, right, is this position of your arm here. You're trying to make almost the same angle between your knee and your ankle. So if I'm upright here, but not a lot of stability, the more I sit into this stance here, the less pressure he can put on me to fall backwards, because all it will do is it will go down my wrist and into my feet. So you don't want to be upright and rigid, because you'll just get lifted and moved. The more you've sunk, you're like a spring, and you're almost sort of riding a horse.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people traditionally would be here, but I've found that you've just got no stability
pigeon.
that way.
I like that, though, that it's funny because people would do that. They'd show you how to do something, and then if you still weren't doing it, they weren't being mean when they were showing you, but they would sort of go, well, this is why, you know, he was showing me, and then a few other people did that to me along the way. I don't think they were being nasty, they were actually showing
It
you,
was fun,
this
wasn't
is
it?
how, this is
Yeah.
how your balance would go, and you're like, oh yeah, I get it now. And I like that because it was like practical rather than just theoretical.
Yeah, and it was very much like just having a laugh. It was just, fun.
This particular section was hilarious.
Yeah, so you don't want to be sinking enough that you can't step. Yeah? So just be comfortable, knees off lock,
Okay.
move the hands around. Where was the step?
Do I?
Because you're at this kind of distance, you're reaching in like that.
So I have to.
Yeah, I was struggling with a whole kind of like
That's all you've
square gas, foot forward, and driving through, and then I get a whole lesson on
Well, on it just the kind of mechanics to
yeah.
So we'll start that one off now.
That's all you've got. Now push. With that striking, if you're trying to strike and you're all
I'm
the
just
way
going
out
to
here,
let you
you're not
nip
doing
read
anything.
that one.
If you're in here and you're doing it, then you're generating force.
Yeah.
Do the same thing again, but with your body.
Like that?
So
do you mean by with your
there you just kind of shoved him like there.
I thought that was so dainty. It was being so like, whoa.
I'm a little girl.
Yeah. Do I do it like this? This seems really forceful. And then these two guys just shout, no, you drive in. Like when a boxer punches, you know, they follow their movement through. And I was like, oh, okay.
Try not to shove things in the arm and just drive the body through.
You show me that again?
The revelation.
So you're driving through your body.
Yep.
Your arm will follow.
See how I didn't jump?
But it's like,
It's funny that, isn't it? He didn't leap into
Do it again, just once more.
There was a lot of mocking.
You can make your body in such a way that you can control them, and
So even though we were mocking Misner quite a lot through the weekend, we actually had Liam talk about the fact that he had attended a Misner seminar, and he was quite forceful in telling me that Misner actually does have some skill. Now, I've never tried to say that Misner doesn't have any skill, but what I often try to push across is the point that his skills aren't as high as he paints with his students, and if you are displaying stuff that you can't recreate against resistant opponents, then you just lack honour, basic martial honour. You're just trying to make money. You're a grifter. Even if you could beat me in a fight, it doesn't matter, because what you will never be able to do is touch me and make me leap into the air like I've been electrocuted. I also think that Liam's view of Misner tends to come from when Misner was slightly less into the woo. It was over a decade ago, as I say, that he attended this seminar. I think even though Misner was very much still into the woo by then, it's kind of progressively gotten worse as the years have gone by. And I would maintain that if Liam was to go to a Misner seminar now, maybe he will in future, and I can have it confirmed, that Misner would definitely not push hands with him and would find any excuse to stay way clear of him, because I've had other people tell me this for sure, that if you don't follow what Misner wants you to do, he will excuse himself very quickly and will then refuse to push with you from then on out. Back to Chunfest though, I mean, as I say, I had the plans to document Chunfest from beginning to end, to really, do a lot of interviews with people, to film what was going on. Those plans went out the window because pretty much it was just a socialising event. I think there's always a socialising aspect to Chunfest. I think that's why it's so popular and why people go back year after year, and that's an important thing to talk about. Most of the people that are there have been going for at least 5 years, longer for a lot of them as well. So the socialising part is important, but I think next year I'm really going to try to document the whole thing, to interview a lot more people, and to give more of a flavour of what Chunfest actually holds for people. Is there anything else you'd like to say about?
No, honestly, to the organisers, just so welcoming. It was just such a welcoming community. I didn't expect that, and I expected far more. No disrespect, but I just expected far more ego. When you get men who are of a certain level of skill in martial arts, or in fact on everything, and women as well, I do think you can end up with people really butting heads and being quite arsey with each other and stuff about like what's right, what's wrong, this isn't real. But
there
actually,
was a tiny bit of that with, I'd say, pretty much one person. But yeah, for the most part, it was very much people just exchanging ideas rather than trying to say my way's better than your way. I think this reminded me, like when you got there, you thought it was going to be much more of a profitable.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be lots of stalls.
Yeah, you thought there'd be lots of stalls, like that there'd be timetabled, there'd be displays, and people, waiting to go up and do their thing, and so which is. You'd be forgiven for thinking that. It's called Chunfest. You'd think it'd be more of a festival outlook. I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, anyone out there, especially Liam who helps to organise this thing, I don't think there's ever like an organised, we're doing this at this time and this at this time and this at that time. I've reliably informed that there's usually a lot more pockets like throughout the site where some people will be sparring, some people will be doing the chi sao, some people will be rolling on the mats, and that was also going on this year, just way less of it than usual.
It was exceptionally hot.
So hot.
Especially, like when people were doing jiu-jitsu at first, I think people wanted to, but it was, it was just, they were raining from their body, and I think people would just like give it up. But honestly, it was so welcoming. There was not much sort of stagging or ego going on. There were less women than I would have liked to be there, because it would have been nice to talk to other women who were kind of involved. There were a few. Dogs were welcome, which was great. And I think, like you were talking about the social aspect, it was really lovely because everyone goes to breakfast together, comes back, sorts themselves out. Some people you could catch them doing some stretches and nice peaceful things. people come together and start talking about what kind of sparring or what they wanted to do, and then in the evening there's this lovely sort of fire pit going, and people would sit around and talk and drink, and
I have to say, the Saturday night was my favourite in terms of, like, we ordered pizza from a local pizza place.
it was very popular.
And there was a lot of fun sort of baiting going on between people criticising each other's pizza choices.
But Hercules managed to pilfer the most pizza. He did his puppy eye, and he got tons of pizza toppings. So it was his favourite day as well.
Yeah, he really enjoyed the pepperoni especially.
And I think a lot of people are like, oh, he said he got one eye, poor thing.
It's like, yes, I only have one eye. I need all of the toppings, please.
Yeah, I genuinely don't think I have any negative comments to say. Just I think the people who go, keep going. People with no ego, please come, because it definitely would make it more fun, I think, more people who got involved. And I think a few more women would be nice.
And you don't need to have done Wing Chun before. I've never done Wing Chun before. Future Al's never done Wing Chun either.
No.
But we both had a really good time with people that were skilled enough to lead us through it, and with small enough egos to let us work on them so that they weren't just making fools of us. And
Yeah, that was lovely as well. Like, I could ask the most simplistic questions, super basic questions, and no one was laughing or mocking or snickering at me. It was just, oh yeah, sure, and then talking it through. And then what was lovely was there'd always be like little groups, and people would chime in with their little bits of expertise, or how they found it easier to do it this way. And yeah, I just really loved the vibe.
And I think for me, it really reinforced my optimism that Kung Fu can be saved, like, in terms of being a realistic, practical martial art that can still grow, or at the very least maintain a foothold in the martial arts scene. Seeing these people all working and being way more practical than I expected most of it to just be woo, if I'm honest. But everyone there, I don't think I met a single person that kind of lived under the delusion that I've seen a lot online, where it's them saying, no, but if you did this, then I would do this, and if you tried to take them down, I'd use my finger eye gouge, eye throat technique. It was all realistic, and it's made me, I kind of thought, well, maybe I should do some Wing Chun, because I'd like to be in a circle of traditional Chinese martial arts that are keeping it real, because there's so much I've seen in recent years that's made me despair at the...
There's one other thing I wanted to mention. I don't know if you're going to put that bit in, but actually I had seen so many people doing these elegant, graceful moves, and kind of all day just, just in shorts and t-shirts, because like we said, it was super hot. But in the evening there were two guys, I think it actually turned into three, who were fully padded up, and then got into sparring. And it was interesting to watch the same art done without gloves and then with gloves, because suddenly it looked completely different. It lost
it's
that
not
kind
just
of...
that. It's not just because there's gloves. It's because people are actually trying to punch and kick each other. Because this is the thing. To the outside world, they see them doing chi sao and they think, well, but that's not going to work in the real world. And
I guess
the point is, it's not going to work in the real world if you think you're going to go up to someone and do this movement. But it's that split second in a fight where you can either from it's like I said to you the other day, from a grapple, from where you get in and grab each other, or from long in fight where someone overreaches or leaves their hand out just for a little bit too long, and you can close that hand down and come in with your strikes. And as you said, well, it looks like kickboxing. And I said, well, all fighting, if you're padded up and have to stick to a certain rule set, is going to look like fighting. If your timing's good, if your distance is good, it's all going to look the same. And the end of the day, as I always say, fighting looks like fighting.
Yeah.
If you took a people off, raised them with no knowledge of fighting and said to them, right, you need to fight each other every day, if you went back in like 40 years time, or the next generation or the generation after that, they would come up with similar moves to what we learn in the martial arts, and it would look very much like we do. You know, when we look at historical European martial arts, when we look at the Filipino martial arts, when we look at the Chinese and the Japanese, they all have the same movements. There might be slightly different flavours, but when it comes to making them work against fully resistant opponents, they all look the same. And it's one of my favourite sayings is, there's different paths up the mountain, but they all lead to the same destination. And I thoroughly believe that really good technical fighters are always going to look pretty similar, whether it's Muhammad Ali, whether it's Stylebender, whether it's Conor McGregor. There's going to be awful human being.
Terrible human being.
Very good striker when he gave a shit.
But then he went, Roadhouse.
Literally. But yeah, there's going to be similarities, different flavours, but the same things work. And this has gone way longer than I thought it was going to go, actually. But hopefully we've encouraged people, whether you've ever practiced Wing Chun or not, if you're in the UK or if you can get over to UK, come along to Chunfest 2026. It's in, I think, the second weekend of July, but you'll have to check that out for yourselves. It'll be online. I might even look it up and put it in the notes. I'll do that, actually. Get along to it if you can. It's very reasonably priced, and it's just a great weekend.